Since 2018, I've been telling you, gold and silver is the way to protect your family, your savings, and your future. It is a hedge against inflation. It is great to diversify your portfolio. It is a store of value. It has asset liquidity. And most of all, it is a hedge against geopolitical uncertainty and a volatile U.S. dollar. Why do I tell you this? Because this is the time. You can book a consultation over with our friends at Beverly Hills Precious Metals by going to melkgold.com or to our partners page and click on Beverly Hills Precious Metals and set up your free consultation and explore your options for investing in gold and silver now. Nothing is going to change overnight, but things are slowly but surely shifting all throughout the world. And the one thing that will stay strong, no matter what, in my opinion, is gold and silver. I have learned so much from Andrew and his team at Beverly Hills Precious Metals, and you can too. So go to melkgold.com and get started today. In this time of financial uncertainty and geopolitical insanity, I have found a partner for myself and for you guys that makes a big difference when it comes to whatever's coming next. We have joined with Estate Planning Inc., and we are showing you how to have a guaranteed income for life, a lasting legacy, and financial freedom on your terms. Protect what you've built and secure yourself for whatever comes next. If you go to the Mel K Show Partners page right now and click on Estate Planning Inc., fill out the form, and you will get a response in the next 24 hours with clear and honest answers to your questions, no pressure, and simple next steps. You can find out about lifetime market-proof income, tax-smart legacy planning, values-aligned guidance, zero pressure, and total clarity from day one. So go to the Mel K Show Partners page and click on Estate Planning Inc. and get started today. Nothing's more important to us than peace of mind and weathering the storm ahead. And Estate Planning Inc. has the greatest options for you to protect your wealth and to secure yourself well into the future. So go to Estate Planning Inc. or the melkshow.com partners page and get started today.
going to be repercussions of so much borrowing in such a short period of time. We are seeing a misallocation of capital throughout the economy. We are seeing a grossly inflated stock market. We are starting to see inflation throughout the supply chain, throughout the economy. There are going to be repercussions. William Proxmire was a conservative Democrat from Wisconsin back in the 60s and 70s. He started an award called the Golden Fleece Award. One of the first awards that William Proxmire gave was an award for a study about what makes people fall in love. You'd think with the lampooning through the years, the ridiculous lizards on treadmills of Panamanian frogs, that after a while people would say, instead of giving this agency that is so full of waste and ridiculous studies, maybe instead of giving them more money, we should give them less money. If you want to study cocaine and you want to study Japanese quail using cocaine and you want to know if they're more sexually promiscuous, do you know how you get approval for your funding? You call up your other buddies that study cocaine in animals and you say, hey, I've got this great new study. Would you guys like to join in it and be my peer review committee? So it's actually the ridiculous studies that we discover, they're being voted on by people who are selected by the people doing the studies. So what they do is they select other people with ridiculous studies and they say, we'll vote for yours if you vote for mine. So how do we get, $500,000 spent studying Panamanian frogs? They want to know whether or not the mating call of the country frogs in Panama is different than the mating calls of the city frogs. Well, coming from a rural state, I can tell you the mating calls of the country folk is always different than the city folk. Why wouldn't we make the committees have someone on there from one of the big 5 diseases? Why wouldn't we put a taxpayer advocate on there? Why wouldn't we have some sort of inspector general process so this doesn't happen? Now, look, if you want to come to me and say we should study Alzheimer's disease, I've got open ears, heart disease, diabetes. But if you want to study whether somebody sneezing on the food makes you more or less likely to eat the food, that's just ridiculous. The American people know it's ridiculous. If the American people could see what we're voting on and saying, oh, we're going to combat China by giving more money to the most wasteful agency in the world. And where's the money coming from? Is it out of a surplus? Can we go over to the Federal Reserve and open this big safe? There's a big cache of money. Is there a rainy day fund? Is there a savings account that we can tap into to say we're going to have government-funded research to combat China? Well, no, we have to borrow the money from China.
Whoa. Good morning and welcome back to Mornings with Mel K. Rand Paul lays it out like nobody else, the waste and the fraud. And it's so hard for me to imagine what April is going to be like for the people of the United States of America who have watched that we have been looted, lied to, manipulated, and very little accountability for the amount of fraud. At this point, after Doge has done their job, before they were cut off by the Democrats, what it looks like is Scott Besson is saying about $600 billion of U.S. taxpayer fraud in all different directions happens per year. Okay, and we have a $37 trillion debt, and apparently the people of the United States of America that pay taxes, if you are not aware, I believe 42% of Americans pay no taxes at all, and that doesn't take into account NGOs, nonprofits, which are trillions of dollars going all over the world through nonprofits that get they don't get taxed at all. The 501c3, 501c4 con job is such a fraud, but when it comes down to it, it's the working people like us, the people trying to get by, paying half our salary to taxes, knowing that it's not going to help America, it's not going to clean up our cities, our infrastructure, our grid, our schools, it's not going to help America. It's certainly not going to help the homeless or the mentally ill. That's a money laundering operation. The military-industrial complex. All that money goes into a black hole. Endless wars for profit continue because, of course, they need to justify all of the spending. But again, don't forget, the United States government, I believe, has not passed a budget, a legitimate budget, since, I believe, 2009. These are all continuing resolutions. It's very hard for me to believe that the American people are even going to want to participate in the political system, knowing that nobody's been held accountable in so many things that we've seen evidence of. So today we're going to talk a little bit about the stakes of apathy. I agree with many, many people out there that what is going on with the DOJ and FBI, and I understand they have a grand jury or two grand juries into Russiagate and Spygate and the grand conspiracy still continuing down in Florida, but that's not really going to cut it for the amount of fraud that every single tentacle of the government, both federal and state governments, is deep into, and the American people are supposed to be continuing to pay our gigantic, ridiculous tax bills for something we know is a black hole in money laundering and an operation. So before I get into where we are and the stakes, we got to remember the stakes, okay, for the midterms. As of right now, the DOJ has not tackled the 2020 election fraud. They have not tackled the 51 intelligence agents that got together and lied openly and knowingly to the American people before the 2020 election about the Hunter Biden laptop that they all knew was real, particularly both CIA Pompeo and CIA Bill Barr both knew that that laptop was Hunter Biden's since 2019 and what was on it. And they allowed not just the fake hoax Ukraine impeachment, but they also shut down any questions of the 2020 election. Bill Barr did, and we still don't exactly know why, though I would say it's 3 letters that JFK wanted to destroy and has destroyed our country from within, known as the CIA, which never worked for America, but I'll get into that in my book, Infiltration Instead of Invasion. So before I jump into the stakes, upcoming 7 months away, we have seen not one person arrested, not for the gigantic fraud that we know of in Minnesota and California and New York, and again, not for many other things that we'll get into. But before I go, how you doing, Mr. Rob? And I want to apologize. My mom calls me and critiques the show after the show. She's amazing, but yesterday she told me I was mean to Rob, and I didn't mean to be. I couldn't remember Madeleine Albright's name, and it was like a random reference, and I looked at Rob and said, what's her name? And then I thought, he won't know, because why would he know that when I was talking about that? So anyway, sorry to Rob.
Well, she likes to think I'm in her head, and there's just too much in that head for me to even get in there. But yeah, no, we're good here. We this is kind of the banter. For those of you who are married and been together a long time, you know that this is the relationships are dynamic things, but we are very happy, and we appreciate your
plan to do this. Rob planned to be retired right now, and I never plan to have a podcast. So we're not the professional type. We're just what we are.
Yeah, but we are grateful to all of you because I can't say it enough, but without your support, whether it's just showing up every day, liking and subscribing, sharing, making sure you're on our newsletter, helping to get the word out there, and your financial support, whether it's through our partners or donations or whatever, sending us prayers and all that stuff, amazing notes we get from people.
Yeah,
so all of it really helps move the needle and keeps us going on a day-to-day basis. So thank you about that. We are very solution driven, and I know it's really heavy stuff that we deal with on a day-to-day basis. It's heavy for us, and we know it's heavy for you. But because we're actively engaged in solutions, it makes us feel better. So we try to offer you solutions, right? And so one of the things I wanted to talk about today is financial solutions. So we have 2 main ones on our partners page, which is Beverly Hills Precious Metals, Gold and Silver. They're going to be continuing to print money for a very long time, and whether we reclaim all the fraud or not, I don't know. But I do know that diversifying into precious metals has been a tried and true strategy to hedge against inflation for a very long time. So we're going to ask you guys to take a look at that. And also we have our annuities partner.
That's a great opportunity.
Since 2018, the market is incredibly volatile. And I've seen a lot of different things about some new rules and regulations about where private equity and the big funds can put money. And if you care about where your money's going, maybe take a little off the table into an annuity, which is an insurance product that gives you income for life over a period of time.
Okay, and now I'm going to get into it. Meanwhile, as you know, I guess Tucker Carlson, because his show's so big, put out a show about precious metals and fraudsters and all of that. Well, we deal with actual gold and silver. We don't deal with at all the money, the gold and silver that's traded or paper gold and silver or any of that. But, I also know that he's going to be selling gold and gold-backed stuff. So I'm not really sure what to do there, but I do know that giving Andrew a call is your best bet, and all of the things that Tucker outlined that everyone else is doing, but he's going to be not doing. Our guy never gets done, and he's a great friend, and we know him a long time. So that would be melkgold.com. Again, Donald Trump is making changes to 401ks as we speak. So keep an eye on all of that and moving forward. Also, I just want to make an announcement. I'm going to do on Sundays. First of all, we didn't do the Q&A on Sunday because Rob and I were alone and we were trying to figure out and we couldn't. But we have a new team coming in again. But we had to wait until we could afford to do some upgrades. So we'll figure that out. In the meantime, Sundays, I am going to be doing Solution Sundays. So if you have done something where you live or you are running for office or you have found solutions to fighting back or weeding out criminality or, finding some of those NGOs and influences that are destroying us from within and have taken action, please let us know. We're looking for everyday heroes in America that are making a difference, one citizen at a time, along the lines of Americans Anonymous. So do let us know. We're looking to feature people on Solution Sundays. So if you have a solution that is working and you think will work to help our country, help our audience, and empower people to take back their nation, that would be awesome. So you can always email us at themelkshow.com. Now, I just want to lay out where we are. So we right now have a situation that I believe is a waiting period. I firmly believe that Thune and McConnell and Tillis and all the people, all the rhinos essentially, but they're really not rhinos. They're just the uniparty. I don't think they want the laundering to end. I don't think they want the looting to end. I don't think that they want the changes Donald Trump wants, because on both sides, they've made a tremendous amount of money.
Get the money.
They don't want lobbying. They don't want war for profit to end. They don't want any of that to end. My feeling is, and I don't know what the DOJ is doing. I really don't. But in the meantime, a lot of things have come out since the beginning of Trump's term. And I just want to be clear. Every time that it comes out, you'll see John Solomon, and I guess Benny Johnson is the chosen podcaster of the administration. And they'll invite all the big accounts from X, who they consider the most important influencers. And then they'll drop some information like the very embarrassing Epstein binders.
Oh, the binder crowd.
Nothing happens. So this is really upsetting people. And I don't think the administration or who's in there really fully understands that, yes, you're fighting the war in Iran. It looks like the Gulf states are joining. We have an upcoming event where Trump is going to be meeting Xi. We have a lot of things going on in foreign policy. But the American people have seen no accountability for multiple things, and I'm going to lay them out. All the things that since the beginning of the term. What?
Oh, I just wanted to say, and you can also see it. I mean, we were never big fans of the CPAC group, but it looked like that kind of went off the rails in a direction that is not American freedom first.
People there, but it's not what it used to be. The death of Charlie is such a huge problem for the MAGA movement, okay? And that they are all in on J.D. Vance without talking about it, without anything, that they're going to put all their billions of dollars towards getting Vance elected, as will big tech and Palantir and Elon Musk and all of that we're going to just go right into that is not a good thing, I don't think. I like Rand Paul has things to say, other people have things to say, but the fracturing, Maha is, people look at Dr. Malone, he walked away. A lot of great warriors that also paid the price for supporting Trump have walked away from the administration. They can't get anything done. Dr. Malone said the same thing this week about Maha. So there's a lot going on. I guess the pushback is from within, but the American people at this point don't really care if the government, if we have a full House and Senate that are Republican right now, and they're refusing to end the filibuster when they know the Democrat socialists running the Democratic Party never wanted that to begin with. So they're going to end that and everything else. But what I want to go through is everything that is dropped and and had no consequences. So in the beginning, we had Doge. Doge focused on waste, fraud, and abuse, identifying trillions of dollars of waste, particularly from CIA operation known as USAID. Then they went into NGOs and all these small groups like the International Peace Program. That's a total money laundering operation. They also looked into major financial irregularities and inefficiencies and all these credit cards that were being paid for by us for the government and all these subscriptions. I mean, just fraud and waste and abuse, full agencies that are doing nothing but laundering money. And not one criminal prosecution, not even an indictment of things that we know are fraudulent, like Act Blue, or no seizing of assets or freezing of assets, or looking into any of the NGOs like Tides or Arabella or any of that. No questions, no interviews of Samantha Power, who signed off on trillions of dollars going into God knows where overseas for ridiculous stuff, including no accountability for the $200 billion that went to the Ukraine war. They all waved their flags and said Ukraine was our problem somehow when it was never. But nothing's happened with any of that. None of the Doge stuff has led to any indictments of any high-level officials that were involved. Again, the people running the agency should be held accountable, or Waltz or Newsom or any of those people, particularly in Minnesota, where we know, should be held accountable. You can arrest government officials that fraudulently use federal money for things that they know are fraud or money laundering or leaving the country. So nobody's been held accountable for massive financial crimes against the people of the United States of America. That's us, the 40-something% that pay taxes. Number two, we have the investigation into the DOJ and Jack Smith. We have ample evidence of all of this. And I understand that there are grand juries down there in Florida, but we just saw a subpoena to James Comey and a subpoena to Brennan, but literally no indictments, no arrests, no anything, nothing. That shows that these people have anything to fear. And frankly, they're all out there with their lawfare friends laughing it off that they can't wait till the midterms to put all of Trump's children, Witkoff's children, Lutnick's children, Pam Bondi, all these people either in jail or impeached. But they're ready to go, and nothing's coming out of the DOJ. That has to stop right there. I don't know what it is, but it's breaking my head. So there have been also many allegations, particularly about January 6th, that are questionable, including the 274 crooked Christopher Wray FBI agents in that crowd. We don't know where they were, who they were, or if they were in the front lines. There was over 1 million people there, but all the video that you saw was captured by a small handful of people that look like perpetrators and collaborators. And it seems that the Fedsurrection was there to stop the actual ability for the regular January 6th questioning of the elections and electors and objections to not happen, because we know the election was stolen. Certainly, Joe Biden did not get more votes than anyone ever. Okay, and everyone knows that. But again, no arrests, no nothing there. Russia collusion referrals. Okay, they've had referrals, but we've seen no indictments. The auto pen, there was a group around Joe Biden that ran the government, not just the ones we know of, like Susan Rice, Lisa Monaco, and Samantha Power, who are actually operatives for Obama and West Exec Advisors and all of the people surrounding Obama. But we have seen nothing of the rest of the people. How about all the people that were involved in the Weissman-Mueller 2-year fake special counsel investigation? Even bigger, how about Bill Barr answering some questions to the people of the United States about why he shut down any questions into the 2020 election, let alone why he allowed those 51 intelligence agents to lie to the country, or why him and Pompeo, knowing full well that the Ukraine impeachment was a fraud, why they didn't step up and stop it. Again, and then Pompeo recommends one of the co-conspirators from the CIA Gina Haspel to take over at the CIA when he was done. The CIA has a lot to answer for, and I've seen nothing. They fired some people, but no accountability. Also, the Minnesota welfare fraud. $30 billion missing. A lot of it went overseas, some of it to terror. Not one arrest of high-level officials that were behind that. And again, this is as frustrating as it gets. Epstein files. Not one arrest of anyone involved, except for that yesterday Bank of America had to join the club of banks. $75 million to the victims from Bank of America. Now we have HSBC, JP Morgan Chase, Apollo, a whole bunch of, we're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars in settlements to victims, and not one person arrested other than Maxwell and Epstein, who was arrested in Trump's first term, and then mysteriously died somehow, and certainly not in the way that we were told. So no arrests there. The Biden auto pen, as I said, 5 people definitely ran that White House that had no business running the auto pen, including Neera Tanden, who was, of course, working with John Podesta on the $300 billion fraud known as the Inflation Reduction Act. John Podesta not questioned about where that money went. Nobody questioned in the NGO space. And frankly, every single one of the auto pen people were put in for referrals for criminal prosecution by James Comer, and nobody has been prosecuted at all. In fact, they all work at different think tanks and NGOs and are making great money. Neera Tanden, in fact, is running the Center for American Progress, and she seems to be a number one. But we got the Donnellan family, we got Ron Klain, we got Zeitz, we got Anita Dunn and her husband, who is now over with Mary McCord, and the other group that should have been totally investigated, the Transition Integrity Project of Trump's first term, run by John Podesta and the rest of the usual suspects. No investigation. No investigation into West Exec Advisors, where all of the essentially foreign policy people of Obama went and started a firm called West Exec Advisors that's still running, a consulting firm across the street from the White House, essentially. That's why it's called West Exec Advisors. And they continued the Biden-Brzezinski foreign policy while they made Trump unable to do detente or anything else with Russia or Ukraine or really anywhere, keeping him bogged down in lawfare for the first term, while it looks like West Exec Advisors continued running the Obama, Clinton, Brzezinski money laundering, foreign policy, World War III agenda. And nobody's looked into West Exec Advisors at all, or the Transition Integrity Project. No. Lawfare. No one's looked into Brookings. No one's looked into any of the NGOs that fund Norm Eisen, fund Mark Elias, fund all of the uprisings, Black Lives Matter, all that. None of those NGOs have been investigated from what I can see. Brookings should be absolutely at the top of that. They have been involved in the grand conspiracy from the beginning. We also have had not one impeachment of a judge, though the D.C. District Court is a bias activist court. Nobody's been held accountable for anything. Judge Boasberg in particular, but Burl Howe, Jackson Berman, Sullivan, all the people involved in the Trump lawfare, all the people involved in the fraud of January 6th, all of them, judges, no accountability, no oversight, no nothing. And that's the tip of the iceberg. And of course, Ukraine money laundering. Not only did they send $200 billion to Ukraine that I believe is funneled back to the DNC and people on both sides, but worse than that, they banned the ability for the American people to have an audit or to even follow where that money's going. Again, this goes back to Samantha Power. I think the people of the United States of America deserve to have Samantha Power, Mayorkas, Chris Wray, Lisa Monaco, and Merrick Garland to answer questions in public hearings for the people as to what they were doing for the 4 years of the auto pen presidency and where all that money went. But and John Podesta hasn't happened yet. So the apathy is understandable. More than that, nobody's been held accountable for COVID at all. Okay, and what we have to know is there is a group in the Netherlands not only is Reiner Fulmick still in jail and he has the ability to practice law in America, so I don't know why the Trump administration isn't stepping in to NATO and trying to help that man, because he did so much for so many by being brave enough to go out there. And he did the People's Trial, which was brazen and brave and opened up a lot of people's eyes. But now in the trial that is going on and testifying in German parliament, the former Pfizer chief toxicologist that Reiner Fulmick, who's also German, was pointing out when he was trying to tell everyone what was really going on with COVID, and that it wasn't about a virus, and that they were shutting down the entire middle class of the world for the Great Reset and going direct and Agenda 2030 and all the stuff he was right about. Well, this doctor had to testify, again, former chief toxicologist at Pfizer. He testified on March 19th, 2026, that the mRNA COVID shots skipped proper cancer risk checks because of time pressure by the EU and the World Health Organization and other groups, including Fauci. And the mass production, essentially, this is what Member Lapidow said, that there was contaminated DNA in the shots. And Dr. Zelenko, God rest his soul, said that these shots were going to cause essentially AIDS, autoimmune disease. So now it has been admitted in Germany that there was significant contamination with bacterial DNA in vials of the shots that were sent all over the world. He called the whole rollout a vaccination tragedy and estimated tens of thousands of excess deaths in Germany alone were caused by the skipping proper cancer risk checks. And this guy's an insider at Pfizer, and he was forced to do this. Again, in America, we have seen no accountability at all. In fact, they're still giving Fauci prizes. Walensky's out there. The women from the, particularly Randy Weingarten, who worked with Walensky at the CDC to shut down schools for 2 years and destroy the mental health and education and everything else of hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of children that still have not recovered. Nobody's been held accountable for COVID. So I will just reiterate this. The German chief toxicologist from Pfizer admits that carcinogenic risks weren't investigated when they began mass producing the vaccines, and that they turned out to be significantly contaminated with bacterial DNA that has led to many excessive deaths in Germany. And that's just Germany, but nobody's gone that far here. But I love Dr. Warner, and I think he's spot on right here, as I've said since 2020, as Kathy O'Brien, that what was happening was essentially an operation, a kind of MK Ultra mind control on the masses, masked as a virus. Again, masking, social distancing, shutting down businesses and schools was actually no science behind that at all, and it wouldn't have made a difference if they kept them open or closed. So let's take a listen at what is going on. There are hearings in Europe, none here, but a lot of hearings in Europe about COVID and everything else. So take a listen to Dr. Warner. If you're not following him, you should. Take a listen.
Can we trust the central banks to give them yet more power? I think the answer should be a resounding no. The high inflation that started in 21 was created by the central banks. No matter what they tell you about wars, the economics is very clear. I could forecast it quite successfully from May 2020 onwards that 18 months later we'll get significant inflation because the money creation was just massive, off the charts. Then the central banks imposed a fake pandemic. You know that story. And we know that people like Jeffrey Epstein, is now public record, were involved as early as 2017 in setting up the scheme of this great pandemic for some investors to make a fortune, such as Bill Gates. And then we can also make money injecting people with stuff and solve the problem, as Epstein and Bill Gates discussed, matter of public record, of how to get rid of the poor people. And of course, it was used at the same time to push digital ID. So can we trust the central?
That's the truth, friends. And nobody in America has been held accountable, let alone Barack Obama lied to all of us. Remember, he was the original right-hand man of Lugar, who started the lab in Georgia in the EU in Europe, and he was very involved. And a lot of people thought that Barack Obama and Dr. Fauci, because he traveled with him, and Bill Gates and everyone, they all knew about it. But Obama was very much behind a lot of the biological labs that popped up all over Europe that are essentially ours. But also, he is the one that claimed to end gain of function, but actually just sent it over to Ukraine and to the Wuhan lab. So again, I think the American people deserve an answer as to why, if China is our biggest adversary and they're trying to destroy America, was Dr. Fauci set up to create a bioweapon at the Wuhan lab with the Chinese Communist Party. To me, that sounds like treason, especially because it was released and then we were lied to. And again, there is new significant evidence that the Biden administration purposefully lied to the American people, knowing that the side effects, particularly in children for myocarditis, were sky high, and they didn't tell anyone. And again, I want to remind you, if you are still watching Netflix or watching the lunatics that are over at Disney ABC on their shows like Kimmel or The View, or you are doing any of that, just remember that the Hollywood not only pushed the pandemic and the stay at home together and the lockdowns and the vaccine and the big lie and all of this, but they continue to do that, and they are funding a lot of what's going on with the Democrat Socialists of America, with the No Kings, with all of that. And I think we should also look at exactly what went on with the blacklist and with the church committee and with some of the things in the past, the McCarthy era and all of that, because it does appear to me that Hollywood has been all in on everything we have been deceived about, from the inconvenient truth and the climate change and the climate lock, nonsense, all the way through pushing for Ukraine. They're all over there in Ukraine. They're all invested and going to, UN and Davos. Hollywood is not your friend, and there's a very small group that even works anymore. And if you continue to fund them, particularly ABC Disney, yesterday, if you did not see that show, they were all talking about that Americans should not have children anymore. It's just beyond sickening. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say it's interesting because, when I grew up, the McCarthy and the Red Scare, that was, it was kind of presented as, he was a crazy guy. And not so much.
I forget who made all the movies about that. Remember the big movie that they made about the fake infiltration of communists and the CIA and everything into Hollywood? Who was the star of that? Robert De Niro, who is clearly on the side of Mamdani and the destruction of America. Look at all the people marching with Mamdani, or marching in the Women's March, or marching this weekend. They are not on the side of the United States of America. And frankly, they all live in bubbles. And their biggest issue with ICE is losing their help that they pay out of pocket and don't pay taxes on. Rob wants to tell you something.
I just, we have our concerns about digital currency and crypto, particularly because we want to make sure that it's really used for the good of people. And but it is important to learn about, because an extraordinary amount of money is going into crypto. So and the other thing is that it helps pay the bills. So we do appreciate the fact that Rumble has rolled out Rumble Wallet, and we have the opportunity to introduce that to you and to learn about it a little bit. So let's talk a little bit about Rumble Wallet, if you will.
Well, I just want to say we don't know much about this whole new world. So we're learning about it now. We downloaded wallet.rumble.com because I am still banned for life, which is now hilarious, from YouTube. And essentially, when I got kicked off of YouTube in 2020, banned for talking about zinc and quercetin and vitamin D, I had nowhere to go. And we had a pretty big podcast. We lost our monetization and everything overnight, and Rumble was there for us.
We also got kicked off of Venmo and PayPal.
Yeah. I'm talking about the show and what Rumble did for the Mel K show, which was give us a platform. Now, I know they have huge deals with a lot of people, but Rob and I work our butts off to make Rumble work for us, and we thank you guys for that. So Rumble has introduced Rumble Wallet, And they want people to check it out. It's a wallet built for freedom. Rumble Wallet, you control your money, not a bank, not a government, not a tech company. You need a digital wallet if you're going to be in the digital world. And Rumble is providing that, like they provided a platform for all of us that got kicked off of YouTube. I was obviously not alone. And I just want to say, your future is yours to protect. You should get all the information you can. We strongly suggest, looking into everything, doing your own research, but also being the person who gives your stability to your family, to your future, and everything else. That has to be you. Banks work for banks, dealers work for dealers. Everyone works for themselves. You got to work for yourself and your family. So to protect you and your family, go check out Rumble Wallet, download Rumble Wallet now, and step away from the big banks and open your digital wallet and get started today. Rumble Wallet isn't about politics. It's about freedom, ownership, protecting what's yours, and being involved in the coming system that is being built. It's not a credit line. It doesn't shut off. Your wallet is yours permanently. So go learn about it. True ownership, true protection, true financial freedom. Wallet.rumble.com, or click on the QR code and go check it out. We're learning, you're learning, and let's figure out a way to have a future where the banks don't control us and plan pandemics to shut down the world so that they can have a great reset. You know what? The more you take away from them, the better at this point. So go check it out. Rumble Wallet. Wallet.rumble.com. Now I'm going to jump back into where I was because it's important. We haven't gotten far yet. So first of all, I want to say that new information has come out. Not a surprise. Still not indicted. Still not arrested. Still not handled. Fani Willis was 1,000% working one-on-one with the Biden White House and the January 6th committee. I would again say most people don't know who Mary McCord is. I think she is a very important person for the United States of America to be aware of. She was involved in every single step of the Russia collusion from the beginning with Judge Boasberg. She was involved, and I believe the liaison at the FISA court in the beginning, but she was involved in every single step of the Get Trump, Destroy MAGA, Destroy Maha, go after everyone lawfare from the beginning. But she was also an advisor to both the January 6th committee and to Fani Willis and to Jack Smith. So Fani Willis coordinated with the White House, the Department of Justice, and the January 6th committee in an attempt to build her case against President Trump. Then Fani Willis was given a $2 million grant. It looks like January 6th committee also were very involved with her, which should disturb everyone since it was a Fedsurrection and a produced fake uprising like the Reichstag fire, same premise. They wanted to shut down any questioning of the 2020 election on January 6th. It was well planned and well orchestrated, and apparently somebody had Nancy Pelosi's laptop. So I don't know where that is, but the White House, apparently Joe Biden's White House was in contact with Fani Willis and asked her to submit a competitive $2 million bid. The bid turned out to be a no-bid contract for Fani Willis and her department. Again, quid pro quo, if you ask me. Speaking of quid pro quo and criminals in our government, many years ago it was exposed not just that Dianne Feinstein for 20 years had a Chinese communist spy working in her office as her driver because China essentially owns California and all of the politicians, specifically in San Francisco. But Eric Swalwell had a 3-year sexual intimate relationship with a known and confirmed Chinese spy many people know as Fang Fang. Well, this past week, looking into the Chinese involvement in the 2020 election fraud, some things came up that led them to go look for the FBI investigation into Fang Fang and Swalwell. And Swalwell is very, very upset about it. He doesn't understand why anyone would want to question his involvement with a spy from China for 3 years, a sexual relationship. She was very involved in politics in California. But if you do not know, he is freaking out. And of course, he held a press conference. Now, don't forget, everyone on the left is basically saying as soon as Trump loses the midterms, it's not Trump, it's the people of the United States that will lose this country if the midterms go to the Democrat Socialists of America that run the Democratic Party. But take a listen to Eric Swalwell. And I want to make very clear, Eric Swalwell hired one of the main rogue and I believe dirty FBI agents to work for him in the last several months. Again, he also is in trouble apparently for mortgage fraud, like it appears every person in our government has some aspect of mortgage fraud in their lives, like Letitia James. But Eric Swalwell apparently doesn't even have a residence in California. We will see what happens there. But he is very upset that the 2020 election interference by China has led to, I believe, looking into Swalwell. Take a listen as he cries about how dare they.
So my ask right now of the men and women in the building behind me, working on behalf of the great people of California and our country is this. Always speak the truth, even when it's hard. Come forward if you see abuse. You will be protected.
Right.
And I want you to know this. Democrats will be in the majority in about 9 months. And when we control the House of Representatives after the midterms, anyone on any level who has done wrong to you, who has pressured you to do something you know you should not do, they will be dragged by my
Okay,
colleagues into a hearing, and you will be protected.
so essentially, this is the same thing that they've all been saying, that they will get Trump. Now, let's take a look. The Western Lensman, who is my favorite account on X, because he finds the best things, and no matter how crappy my day is, at some point in the day, he'll put up something hilarious. That's true and real and unbelievable, but he's great at it. So let's take a look at who this man really is. Go ahead.
This case is closed. The Bureau said over 10 years ago, all we did was help. But this effort to weaponize the FBI against the president's political enemy at a time that we are at war shows a distraction. It shows an obsession with going after the president's political opponents.
That we're going into the majority a year from now. We have every intention to do that. And so we will bring oversight, accountability. We will subpoena the Department of Justice, but also private actors who have done these drug deals with the administration, college campuses, entertainment companies, law firms. And so accountability is coming.
This case is closed.
Okay, so he's threatening, again, every single person in the Trump administration. But I think you'd like to remember this from 2022. Again, they're all acting like there was no weaponization in the last. You should be offended by them acting like there was no weaponization, not in January 6th, not in the 2020 election. Deniers, not in the lawfare against Donald Trump, and all these lawyers, they've ruined their lives. It costs millions of dollars to defend themselves, not to mention Flynn and Stone and Bannon and Navarro and Jeff Clark and Rudy Giuliani and John Eastman, and every single one of these people had their lives destroyed. They went after them all, not to mention all the innocent people from January 6th that stood outside and did absolutely nothing, and many of them ended up going to jail.
How about the mass weaponization of the surveillance,
files. No indictments from the
Facebook.
weaponization, the Twitter files, the YouTube files, and good on Sarah Westall is putting in the first case, and I might follow her, but I got to tell you, it was clearly the Biden administration that had us kicked off of YouTube, and at the time it wasn't that clear. Now we know it. 100%. But Jim Jordan did a 2-year weaponization hearing, and nobody was held accountable. Nobody at Twitter, nobody at Facebook, nobody in the FBI, CIA, or the Biden administration that were involved in silencing the people of the United States. But take a listen to Swalwell. He sang a different story in 2022 when he was in control, or he thought he was.
New take that we've seen from Elise Stefanik and Donald Trump and even Scott Perry in his statement today. How could they possibly have searched a member of Congress's phone, or how could they have, gone to a former president's home? Or if they could do this to a former president, they could do this to anyone. They're kind of missing the point that they should do this to anyone if they have broken the law and there's probable cause. You're not above the law. You're not an elite. You're not untouchable. And so it's nice to see that the rule of law has returned. This new scene from.
So he thought that the rule of law mattered back then, and now when it's in his face, he does not. Now, again, he also was very excited about Donald Trump being attacked by lawfare. Really, it came out of, I believe, Norm Eisen and his group. But Swalwell was backing the lawfare and the weaponization against Donald Trump, trying to put Trump and his family and everyone around him, his 78-year-old accountant in jail, all of that. They don't remember any of this. But take a listen one more time to this awful person that is complicit, I believe, in the controlled demolition, not just of this country, but California. And again, had a 3-year confirmed sexual intimate relationship with a CCP spy and never was held accountable and is still serving in office. You would think that they would be kicked out, but Ilhan Omar hasn't either. So I don't know if they can even do that because our government is so weak and embedded and everyone's scared of the intelligence community that runs it from above. But take a listen.
Donald Trump was so innocent and this prosecution was so rigged. Wouldn't an innocent person subjected to a rigged prosecution crawl through glass and walk over fire to exercise their speedy trial right? Someone who is as innocent as Donald Trump claims he is would not want to delay justice. The whole point of a speedy trial right, which he could use and go to trial pretty quickly, is to protect people who are wrongfully accused. And so he's sure acting.
Okay, this is again, this guy's such a fraud. It's so disgusting. I'm so glad he's losing. He's the number one Democrat in California for governor. Again, they should have already, I believe, charged Gavin Newsom. But in the meantime, let's be very clear. This is all crap. I mean, it's just garbage. And again, they are very sure that they are going to take over in the midterms. And if people don't get it together, that will happen. So again, this isn't left and right, Republican and Democrat. It is people that believe in the constitutional republic, the Constitution of the United States, the Bill of Rights, the independence of our nation, and frankly, personal sovereignty, individual liberty, autodetermination. Everything this country was built on is at stake because, as you know, the Democrat Socialists of America are a global revolutionary party, and they have teamed up with CARE and the Muslim Brotherhood to run the Democratic Party, and that has become the Democratic Party. So a lot of your friends out there that vote straight D's or straight R's or whatever they vote for have no idea right now that the Democratic Party is over. It is not the Democratic Party at all. I also want to remind you that Eric Swalwell is complicit also in the fake Ukraine impeachment, of course, but also was very complicit in leaking information back during Trump's first term and working with Adam Schiff to manipulate the public with lies. Again, Schiff and Representative Eric Swalwell, within 24 hours of going to the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence, which seems to be an operation that protects the wrongdoing of the intelligence community from the American people, he basically appeared on a news channel and verbatim said things that he could have only learned in the skiff. And essentially, he is accused in some of the Russia stuff of leaking classified information. So this is above and beyond Fang Fang and his affair with her. It goes towards complicity in, I believe, ongoing conspiracy of sedition. Now, if you do not know, a bunch of January 6ers, and I support this 1,000,000%, filed a class action lawsuit over the federal government's excessive use of force by indiscriminately shooting pepper spray and other munitions into the crowd, a First Amendment protected protest. That did happen, and you didn't see any of that. All you saw was exactly where Pelosi, and I know her daughter was filming a documentary. She started on the 4th. She was there on the 5th with her husband taking, filming and interviewing people. She was there on the 6th, as was a man named Sullivan, who was also later charged, who I believe CNN paid $30,000 for his footage of the murder of Ashley Babbitt. Anyway, it looks like people are very upset, particularly Norm Eisen's inner circle. That would be the ACLU, Protect Democracy and Democracy Forward. It's so disgusting that they use democracy. But if you hear democracy, you can assume that Norm Eisen or Mark Elias are somewhere around. But we do have this. Basically, they use tear gas, smoke grenades, chemical munitions of every kind, shooting into the crowd of January 6th, and nobody was held accountable. Also, banks, including Bank of America, gave all of the information of anyone requested by the FBI or the January 6th committee without telling those clients. Verizon and other people. January 6th was a gigantic setup to make it look like Donald Trump and his supporters were insurrectionists. Of course, none of them brought weapons, and only one person was murdered, and that was Ashley Babbitt by Byrd. But also, as you know, Roseanne Boylan and died that day after being beat by a cop there, Leila Morris. Nothing happened to her. The woman who seems to have run the day with the mayor of D.C., Yogananda Pittman, she got a promotion and got transferred to University of California, Berkeley, to run security there when she was a complete failure on January 6th, or was she an operative? But Katie Fang's all losing her mind, about this. She's very, very upset, and I'll just play you. We won't even play her. Who cares? But I will tell you that Katie Fang is a operative along with Norm Eisen and his whole inner circle. Now, they are talking openly after the No Kings. Like I told you yesterday, the No Kings is a long-term strategy that started like in the first term of Donald Trump, that he wouldn't leave office. In this term, it was that he was an authoritarian king that wanted to end the democracy we live in, which we don't, and take over and rule and never leave office. All lies. But they set up the No Kings, and it's going to continue. And by next summer, they will have convinced their lunatic and brainwashed and MK Ultra members and those that just have Trump derangement syndrome that Trump is essentially a king, because they're going to make it so violent and so awful while claiming that it's peaceful going in. So take a listen. This is Norm Eisen, the one person that until Norm Eisen has actually dealt with everything that he did from the beginning in 2016 to date, none of this will stop. Norm Eisen and his friends, this would be Mark Elias, it would be Mary McCord, Andrew Weissman, this Jen Rubin, awful operative that lied to everyone while she worked for the Washington Post, covering all the Trump lawfare. This would be Brookings, States United, State Democracy Defenders, Democracy Docket, all of them funded by the same globalist NGOs that Reid Hoffman and George Soros and the rest of them fund. But these are the people that have run the lawfare, and unfortunately, they not only are still out there filing lawsuits and doing everything they can to destroy Trump, his whole following, MAGA and MAHA, but they think it's fun. Take a listen to them congratulate themselves for the color revolution that Norm Eisen has been running since 2016.
We are in favor of regime change here at home, and come November,
Peaceful
we will
and
begin
lawful.
that process. It is time to throw the bums out. We are in favor of regime change here at home.
Okay, so that is the orchestrator, I believe, Norm Eisen. We are in favor of regime change here at home. That was essentially their response to what happened. And as I told you, Norm Eisen has written multiple playbooks. You can find them on Brookings. Brookings should have been investigated day one of the Trump administration. They were involved in the entire Russiagate. They were involved in the entire lawfare. They were involved in the impeachment. They were involved in Ukraine, and they fund Norm Eisen. Please take another listen to Norm Eisen.
Just chime in briefly that that spirit of authoritarianism, which was evident in partial ways in the first Trump term and was checked, and then was unleashed full out to overturn an election and to reject the will of the voters and
Right.
the entire scheme that culminated on January 6th. Donald Trump has dedicated his campaign and his presidency to election denial and revisionism and the continuation of that autocracy. And as we've talked about, we saw that in continuing to advance the big lie as a plank of that campaign. We saw it in the pardon of of the insurrectionists, over 1,500 insurrectionists, including more than 140 who violently assaulted police. Some of them are marching on the Capitol again today. We saw it in the pardons that followed later of the John Eastmans and Jeffrey Clarks and the ringleaders of the run-up to January 6th. The federal pardons of those individuals. And we've seen it with those same Jeffrey Clarks and other election deniers, Harmeet Dillon, Carrie Lake, and many others who are now making policy. We've seen it in many of these cases we've litigated. Donald Trump asserted control. It's not only reverse revisionism, he wants to secure power, illegitimate power, to impose election denial as a going forward philosophy. His elections EO to take, president has no role taking a hold of American elections. He promulgated an executive order to do that. We and others in the coalition went to court to stop him. We got an injunction against it. We're litigating.
Okay, everything that he's saying, this man, look, I don't know if Pam Bondi and the DOJ are afraid of Norm Eisen because of his decades. He ran a color revolution when he was an ambassador in the Czech Republic. He praises color revolutions. He praises Gene Sharp in statements. I also want to make it very clear, until he is dealt with, we do not have a country, because what he has done from the beginning is, he uses Saul Alinsky tactics. Everything that he says, he has done. Okay, everything he's blaming. But I want to be very clear. Norm Eisen, okay, here's the timeline. 2016 to 2017, he did the first impeachment of Donald Trump before Trump took office in 2017. Okay, that was the emoluments litigation, trying to say that his business was profiting off of him being president. He's going for that again after the midterms. He also worked at Brookings to lay everything out. 2018 to 2019, he filed all kinds of lawsuits. He worked still at Crew. He wrote the Democracy Matters Color Revolution Playbook with David Brock of Media Matters, and he also prepped the impeachment. 2017 to 2020, House Judiciary Impeachment Council. He ran the Ukraine fake impeachment. 2021, 2022, he ran and helped in the January 6th prosecutions, the election prosecutions, the disbarring of lawyers, States United expansion, and working together with multiple blue state AGs. 2023 to 2026, he runs Democracy Defenders Fund litigation and has filed hundreds of lawsuits since 2016 against Donald Trump. He is a member of the Brookings Institute. He created Crew, the Center for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington. He is the main guy in States United Democracy Center. He is the main guy in Democracy Defenders Fund and Action. He is a paid contributor to CNN and has a lucrative podcast with Jen Rubin called The Contrarian. He has written multiple playbooks, and he has been involved. So he has written multiple books about Donald Trump. He wrote a book in 2020, The Case for the American People Against Donald Trump, Overcoming Trumpery in 2022, Trying Trump in 2024, States United, Broader Democracy Focus 2022. He wrote the Democracy Playbook 2019, 2021, 2025. He wrote Anatomy of an Illiberal State 2019. He litigated Crew versus Donald Trump in 2017, House Judiciary Impeachment Council leading the Ukraine impeachment, and participated in the support of Section 3, 14th Amendment to disqualify Trump in the 2024 election. He has written the Emoluments Clause analysis, the Presidential Obstruction of Justice report, Collusion and Pardon analysis, Electoral College Vote Certification Guide, New York Trump investigation analysis, Georgia Fulton County Trump investigation analysis, January 6 accountability framework and prosecution memos, and with Weissman wrote the entire Jack Smith case model prosecution memo while at Brookings with Just Security, which is NYU law, and that would be Brookings tied to them to destroy Donald Trump. He has written numerous amicus briefs to destroy Donald Trump. He has subpoenaed related litigation involving Trump allies, Meadows, Graham, Flynn. He has filed bar complaints against every lawyer that surrounded Donald Trump, and Democracy Defenders Fund complaints involving Trump. And he goes on and on and on, and he gets millions of dollars to do this from globalist NGOs. The work of Norm Eisen from 2016 to date spans litigation, publications, policy framework, NGO leadership, media engagement, filing lawsuits, filing briefs, writing books, and to this day, what you just saw, regime change of Donald Trump in this term, and yet nobody has done a thing.
Wouldn't it be extraordinary if at least there was, even a modestly level playing field as far as resources go? Because these people have, whether they're in the House, right, doing all their nonsense, or the Senate, or the litigation on the other side, or any of these talking heads. I mean, the resources that they get to peddle their nonsense and push down on the people is unlimited.
And I saw Norm Eisen is worth about $30 million. Apparently, he has been he graduated from law school with Barack Obama in 1991 from Harvard Law, which had already become a bastion of critical legal theory, along with Stanford, Georgetown, Berkeley, Columbia, all these law schools that then have put these crazy judges out there. They are dumbing down the law curriculum. I don't know if you know, you don't need an LSAT to go to any of those schools anymore. They don't even base it on grades. It is on your ideological background, essentially, particularly in the last 10 years, all of the main law schools. But I do want to play this for you, because this is Norm Eisen and Jen Psaki, who should have been investigated not just for all the things that she's done, but in the West Exec Advisors. They were running a shadow foreign policy and arming countries, particularly Ukraine, Iran, and other countries, while Donald Trump was in his first term, keeping Trump unable to do anything with those countries while they continued Barack Obama's foreign policy. And then, of course, when the auto pen went into the office, everyone from West Exec Advisors, particularly Avril Haines and Anthony Blinken, who started that firm, went into the State Department, which, again, has been corrupt since the Dulles brothers turned the State Department and the USAID into tentacles of the international banking and global public-private partnership. Yes.
I just wanted to say, we were just talking about the resources of all these idiots, and but we don't have any of that, but we do have you guys. So I'll just
on the left, even doing anything like this.
But I wanted to say is that we have 700 people now in live, and every one of those, we earn by just raw, just effort. And we appreciate everyone who's out there. If you are out there, please subscribe, sign up for our newsletter. Anything you can do to support the show. We have our partners page. All of that supports the show. Anything that you can do to help, independent media like ours break through the narrative is critical. So think about it.
So we're very bad at social media. I don't have time. Rob meant to be retired by now. But I have to tell you, we have absolute back proof now that I am not allowed to grow, or as soon as they caught me over there on Instagram, because I didn't start that until 2 years ago. Basically, I have no reach on any platform. I am not monetized on X. I will probably never grow big enough to be. I am not monetized on Instagram. I will never be, I was told. Or I don't even have a Facebook. I might start one, because who cares if I'm not monetized. But and Rob and I are not paid by anyone. We have never taken money from anyone. Nobody controls us. So that is the one thing I can promise you about this show.
But you are working on Substack. So, Mel is an excellent...
But I have a new team coming in to help me figure out how to keep the show going, because I love doing it. But we don't have a deal with Rumble on the top. So everything we do for Rumble, we're just trying to scrape by. We don't have any connections to any of these people. To look and see. I didn't know that that Megyn Kelly and Tucker and Julie with that fitness lady and everyone, they have a gigantic deal with a company. I think it's like Red something. It's connected to Fox News. And then, a lot of people have deals with Rumble. People make that never got kicked off of YouTube. A lot of people are making decent money on X. We're not. I'll leave it at that because I don't want to talk about it, but I just want you to know that that's why I believe our show is really worth your time, because nobody controls me.
I will ask people to go subscribe at Substack.
Yes, please go subscribe at Substack. We're going to make it great, and we're going to make it connected to the morning show with all the receipts there as soon as I figure that out. Well, people are figuring it out for us right now. But anyway, let's listen to Norm Eisen. He is planning, and I told everyone this. I've told people in the DOJ this. I've told people that left the DOJ because they couldn't get anything done. Norm Eisen has already written impeachment articles for Donald Trump that they plan to drop day one when they believe that they will take back the House and Senate in the midterms, okay? And that is why this matters. It is not about Trump in the midterms. It is about keeping out the Democrat Socialists of America and their partners in care. I don't care how much you like or dislike Donald Trump. It's not relevant. It is not relevant anymore. So he is going to go after Trump, but bigger than that, I believe, and I know, he already has lawsuits ready to drop against Jared Kushner, the Trump family, and the Trump sons, the Lutnick sons, and the Witkoff family. So he's going to go after them personally for using the emoluments clause. Here he's telling you, and he thinks it's very funny, because he is not afraid at all of Trump or Pam Bondi or Susie Wiles or any of them. He plans to put them all in jail as soon as possible.
Emoluments. It's the only ethics rule that was so important. The founders and framers of our country put it in the Constitution. And of course, conflicts of interest. How, in a time of war, the aftermath in Gaza, the war in Iran, you have a senior American representative like Mr. Kushner raising money in the region at the same time as we have these incredibly complicated conflicts. It is a mess and a scandal of the kind that we really haven't seen in modern American history.
So I just want to make it very clear to anyone out there. I know some people in the administration watch the show. They're going to impeach Trump because you don't have a strategy for going into the midterms, and nobody's been held accountable, and you lost the libertarians already. Maha, people are very upset. People are very upset about the inner circle. People are upset about this whole thing that just came out with Cash's girlfriend. I mean, every day there's a new scandal on the right, and yet people don't even realize what's about to happen. And it's going to be so much worse than the auto pen years. Now, this is the other guy that is getting away with murder. Now, he, I believe, will be indicted in the grand conspiracy case in Florida. Again, this is the person who has set up a lot of the fraud. But again, he is also behind the Hillary Clinton campaign, the Steele dossier, and all of that. So this is Mark Elias, another guy, it appears, that the Trump DOJ does not or will not hold accountable for decades, I believe, of undermining the will and the voice and the vote of the people since 2016, working with Hillary Clinton to create the fake dossier. And then from there on, he has been nonstop just destroying every aspect of elections, claiming that he's protecting them. This is Mark Elias, another person that is not being held accountable.
You know, we've seen the same progression here that we see on a whole host of issues with Donald Trump. First, he tells a bit of a lie, and it's kind of easy to dismiss because it doesn't seem all that important. Then people around him deny, and then eventually they're like, oh, yes, well, of course that's the truth. And you're kind of left being like, wait a second, you know, how did we get here? And so originally it was, you know, there's no reason why we would send ICE to the polls. We have no plans to send ICE to the polls. And now it's like, well, what's wrong with sending ICE to the polls? And you're right. It's coming not from, you know, someone who is a political operative in the White House. It's not coming from someone like Steve Bannon, who, by the way, you know, predicted this. Like he actually said this on his podcast weeks ago. But it's coming from one of the top DOJ officials. I mean, talk about normalizing. I mean, we used to say that no one at the Department of Justice could attend a reception if it had a partisan veneer to it. That, you know, when Bill Clinton ran across, you know, Loretta Lynch on the tarmac when he was no longer the president and exchanged pleasantries, that was treated as a potential scandal.
It was a scandal, okay? Loretta Lynch, there's a 302 talking about it. She was promised the Supreme Court if she dropped and had Comey drop the case. So let's remind you right now, there was a great clip this week on, I hope that there's no, okay, this might go right into it. Okay, might not. It's an ad first. Don't go to my screen yet. But anyway, Comey, again, as I told you, there was an indictment. But let's be very clear about what is going on here. I'll let Devin Nunes, who's been on this for a decade, and Peter Schweitzer and Maria actually lay it out better than I can. Take a listen.
Does making America unsafe. The weaponization of intelligence does not help us win battles in Iran, to track down terrorists, to do what we did in Venezuela. We got to get the intelligence agencies back to what their original intent is, and that is to provide actual intelligence, real intelligence, with analytical integrity that guarantees that policymakers can make at least informed decisions as they try to guide the world in a very difficult time we have now.
Well, I'd like to see if we actually get conspiracy charges, and that would be the first step in that road. Peter Schweitzer, your reaction.
Yeah, I think what we clearly have is the intentionality that James Comer intentionally manipulated the intelligence system in an effort to undermine Donald Trump. Let's remember when the FISA court scandal erupted and the IG report came out and said there were 17 inaccuracies or errors. Jim Comey said, oh, it was just sloppiness. Then you go to what Chairman Nunes was talking about, specifically the rewriting of this intelligence assessment in December of 2016, after they had briefed Congress days earlier that Putin had no intentionality of intervening. He had no preferences between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. They rewrote that intelligence assessment, and James Comey was central to it. So you have intentionality, and the question is, what was the goal here? Barack Obama was leaving the White House. Donald Trump was coming in. The intentionality was to disrupt and undermine the normal functioning of the American government. So if there's any classical definition of a conspiracy to undermine the government's function, this, to me, seems to fit it.
And there you have it. And again, accountability. And if it's not going to come from the DOJ, it has to come from us. And speaking of accountability, I don't know if people are very clear. Again, the stakes are very high. There is a tremendous amount of money coming in from overseas to people like Mamdani and people that are coming up behind him. These are the Democrat Socialists of America. There is a big question of who is actually running the Democrat Party. And I think you should be very aware of some of the things that will be happening to the whole country if the people that run California and New York right now, essentially the Democrat Socialists of America, and a bunch of the other countries get into power. First of all, in New York City, not only does Mamdani, if you do not know, so they put in a new rule there, or they're trying to in New York, like I told you yesterday. This is a World Economic Forum inspired law because both Mamdani and Hochul, like Whitmer and like Pritzker and like Gavin Newsom, are planning to stay along the path of Agenda 2030, the Great Reset, everything World Economic Forum. They all just attended, as you know. But now they're trying to put the Dark Skies Protection Act in, backed by Mamdani, to preserve and enhance the state's dark sky while promoting safety for people, birds, other wildlife, conserving energy, and reducing our carbon footprint and preserving the aesthetics of qualities of the night sky. Meanwhile, they call this light pollution, and it has many negative effects, including the disruption of natural patterns of wildlife, wasted energy, increased output of carbon dioxide and greenhouse gases, interruption of human sleep, and other adverse health impacts, and the loss of aesthetic qualities and cultural significance. So what they are suggesting is that in New York City, they shut down the lights at 11 p.m. to 5 a.m. of all buildings in New York City, essentially. And again, this is what I call the purge. It would be a criminal gang and criminal, heyday if that happened. But frankly, I first couldn't believe this, but this is what happens when you allow communists to do this. Don't forget in Cuba, where communists mismanaged repeatedly, the total grid collapsed, leaving millions without power for days, exposing the rot of the core of the system. Again, this is not a new thing. This is something that has happened in communist countries before. Number two, Mamdani is putting $260 million from the budget into getting rid of, it looks like, police and adding social workers. So he's starting the Office of Community Safety, where social workers will replace cops. He is putting a $127 billion budget into something. Don't forget about Thrive New York City, where $800 million disappeared for the homeless and mentally ill. Literally, it disappeared, run by de Blasio's wife. But now Mamdani, via executive order, has and a signing ceremony, has allocated $260 million budget, along with $250 million into the Office of Community Safety, which is intended to deploy social workers to respond to hate crimes, mental health crisis, and other events that are typically handled by police. He no longer wants police to show up at certain kind of calls. He would prefer social workers to show up first. Of course, there'll be trained social workers likely from the Marxist communist hubs in New York City, including, the Columbia University of the critical race theory plans of that, and maybe some other schools there, City of New York, all of them, they're running big DEI, CRT, new ways to do things. So essentially, he has a budget cap of $5.7 billion through 2027, yet he is going to allocate $260 million for a brand new office with only 2 staffers. And the office will figure out how to change the 911 call system to go first to social workers rather than police when there are things like domestic violence, hate crimes, and all of that. I'm sure that's going to work out very well. Now, I also want to make it clear, $101 billion nightmare. 11,000 jobs fled New York City since Mamdani came into office. The new New York corporate tax rate is 17.4%. Again, Texas has 0%, and this was pushed by Hochul. But now it looks like 892 companies have left New York City since Mamdani won. And again, this is not a number that is coming out of nowhere. It is an actual assessment and coming, I believe, from Goldman Sachs. Now we have also, I don't know what happened here. We have another, and you got to remember, everything that's happening is what we have to watch out for in the midterms. So if you don't know, let's jump to another communist in our government. Her name is Pramila Jayapal. She believes that illegal immigrants deserve reparations from ICE. Take a look at this.
And we also need offensive actions around prosecutions. We need real accountability, because at the end of the day, the people that have been inflicting this harm need to be prosecuted. They need to be brought before us, and they need to be held account for the trauma that they have created, and we are going to have some form of reparation. Then we also need...
So she's talking about prosecuting ICE and then having reparations for the illegals that ICE has encountered. We also have this guy. This is Dem Rep Sozi, also New York. This guy has a plan too. Take a listen to what we're voting on in the midterms. Here you go.
Been here since President Trump became the president on January 20th of 2017. You've been here since that time, and you haven't committed a crime but for not having proper documentation. Let's figure out a way to legalize you so you can go to work every day, you can pay your taxes, you can raise your family, you can travel freely and not be afraid of being deported.
Okay, so again, another New Yorker wanting that. Let's see. Why don't we look at the front runner in 2028? So a lot of people are saying the main front runner is Gavin Newsom, but second is the Democrat Socialist Queen. That would be AOC. Take a listen to what James Comer, had to say about what is going on in California, which is almost as bad. Take a listen.
Now we've moved our investigation into California, and we're focusing on a massive hospice fraud scheme. Hospice, of all things. One program I think every member of Congress supports. Hospice, who we call in our deepest, darkest times of need. We've zeroed in on one particular area in California, Los Angeles County. A recent audit revealed that over $3.5 billion in hospice fraud, primarily in one county, Los Angeles County. What we found in Los Angeles County is that 18% of the total bill for the federal government for hospice in America went to one county. You had thousands of people registered as hospice providers, billing hospice for hundreds and hundreds of patients that no one can find.
Well, they didn't exist. Again, very scary what's going on in California. And again, nobody's been held accountable. We have another situation in California. And again, what I'm trying to show you is that these people are set to take over coming up. And I don't see any plan on the right to organize and work together. I think the libertarians that voted for Trump in 24 are very disillusioned. I think the Maha crew is very disillusioned. We lost Charlie and his voice of reason at Turning Point. CPAC was a mess. And we are on our way to apathy and handing this country over to the Democrat Socialists of America and CARE and Muslim Brotherhood. Take a listen to this.
What really was the icing on the cake for me was the fact we sent a letter to the California DOJ saying, what happens if we have a child who's being sex trafficked by an illegal alien in our town? Can we at least do a welfare check on that child? And the answer was surprising, which is no. That would be in violation of SB 54, with no other explanation of how do you save this child. I tell you, what really was the icing.
Okay, another thing going on in California. Yeah, Rob.
I just want to say I've been having a chat about some people interested in donating to the show, buying some books, and it's just so nice. And I just wanted to thank. I just saw Jason from Missouri City, Texas, gave us a nice donation on the website. People are wondering, do we have Cash App? Do we have PayPal? Do we? A lot of those platforms haven't let us. With our new team, hopefully we can add some new platforms.
Put together our pennies, and we hired a new team to help us figure out how to make money to stay afloat. Because, like I said, don't get paid from any of the platforms.
So thank you. Yeah, I just want to. We really
idea. I love doing it. Rob loves doing it, but it's hard to pay the bills for us and many other people out there. But we thank you. It's only you.
Yeah, the entire conservative, space where people are giving real information are really under pressure.
Yeah, and also, people are making a lot of money on X, and no matter how many, it looks like people follow me, I lose followers more.
And we hate talking about this.
So can I go forward and finish the show? I know there are about 15 minutes, so let's go here. Okay. I'm just showing you what the stakes are in the midterms, and for you to share these. And again, we are working on having Substack be an after-show where I put a lot of this. It is being created right now, God willing. But take a look.
You okay?
They speak to a homeless man found leaning against the concrete wall of this underground storm drain along the LA River near Bassett Street in Canoga Park. The tunnel covered in graffiti and littered with trash.
and then they'd kind of set up a little shop, like maybe sleeping in the tunnel there.
Rangers with the Mountains Recreation and Conservation Authority showed us where homeless had been sleeping in this tunnel. Rangers tell us they frequently patrol and clean up this area and tell us most of the homeless refuse services and quickly return.
That's terrible. I don't know who's in charge of this district or whatever, but funding or help.
This situation in Canoga Park comes 2 days after people were seen living in deplorable conditions in a storm drain in South Los Angeles. A woman was using a doghouse to hide the entrance that's now been sealed by the city.
Okay, $9 billion went to homeless there. $9 billion. Really unbelievable. And take a look at this also from the front runner on the left that is gaining ground.
Parents are demanding that. And we have some levers that exist here at the federal level as well, such as in California, where they had this policy of keeping secrets from parents when it comes to the gender identity of their child. There was just a decision finding that actually violates the rights of parents. So we are bringing some important changes to protect parental rights and advance educational excellence.
All right, all comes down to the parents coming first with those kids. Congressman Kevin Kiley, thank you.
And if you saw the bottom there, $600,000 was put into LA School District. That was the biggest arrest ever of a superintendent, I believe. But the LA School District, $600,000 to teach people how to rap. You love that. So take a look right here. A 92-page report by the California State Auditor has found that over $70 billion in taxpayer funds have been lost, including $2.5 billion in SNAP fraud, $24 billion to fight homelessness, $18 billion for a high-speed rail that had not one track put in there. And frankly, now they want to do a wealth tax. And from what I can see here, California is bankrupt. So I don't know what is going on there. But to think that all of Hollywood and the Democrats and everyone are pushing Gavin Newsom as the president should really scare everyone. I don't know if you also know Democratic Rep Sheila Phyllis McCormick is guilty of violating 25 House rules and ethic panel fines. So she embezzled millions of dollars of COVID-19 emergency funds, funneling them into her campaign where she won a Democrat from Florida. Well, now it turns out 27 counts she was found guilty on in the ethics investigation. And guess what happened to her? Nothing. She is still in office right now, and frankly, just like Ilhan Omar and everyone else, nothing is happening to her. Money laundering, false statements, illegal campaign contributions, hiding financial disclosures, and the Democrats do not want to remove her from committees or from her position in the government. This is rampant, as we know. Again, I also want to remind you, take a look at what's going on in Chicago, where a communist is also running Chicago, and a billionaire named Pritzker, whose family is behind a lot of the rot in our country. Take a look at this.
We cannot incarcerate our way out of violence. We've already tried that. It is racist, it is immoral, it is unholy, and it is not the way to drive violence down. We cannot.
Okay. If you weren't aware, they are very much against, in Chicago, against putting people in jail. This is another one from the communists that run Chicago. Chicago is the hub of communism. It always has been in America. And, you know, Saul Alinsky and Franklin Marshall Davis and Bernardine Dohrn and Bill Ayre and the Weather Underground, they'll be very proud of Brandon Johnson. Take a listen.
Last I checked, we are not in competition with other people of color across this globe. The only people who want us to believe that we are in competition with one another are the same colonizers that pit us against one another. Why would I take the word of someone who hates us all to drive us apart? What sense does that make? And so I believe we can call for black liberation and reparations and not cause harm in this globe the way white supremacy has caused across this planet. And anybody that would fall victim to that type of ideology, well then maybe you need a little healing yourself. And that's okay, because colonization is real. I think one revolutionary said that somebody would stab you in the back with a knife and pull it halfway out and call it progress.
Okay, I mean, it's just so disgusting. So I just want to go through a few things. So California, Gavin Newsom signed SB 960, allowing illegals to become police officers. If you didn't know, a Manhattan DA 6-month plea deal for transgender illegal migrant child rapist. So Alvin Bragg has given a child rapist, an immigrant who admitted to raping a 14-year-old girl, a 6-month plea deal. They are ending law and order outrage is erupting as a new leftist judge, Nancy Brassel, sentenced Somali fraudster Abaka Ali to just 1 year and 1 day in prison for stealing over $1 million of fabricated fake meals through Feed Our Future. 1 year in jail and 1 day. We got here in San Francisco, Judge Linda Colfax has released a man who killed an 84-year-old on the street with for no reason at all. 25-year-old Antoine Watson was granted probation just 2 months after he was convicted of manslaughter and assault, killing an elderly gentleman in San Francisco. She said, Colfax says Watson being in prison would have a poor impact on him and didn't think he should be there because he expressed remorse. She is against imprisoning criminals if they show remorse and can be rehabilitated. A 19-year-old man violently shoved an elderly man. Again, another crime this is also in San Francisco, onto the tracks. The man later died, and the guy who pushed him, the illegal, got probation. I mean, this is what's happening in this country. And again, I want to remind you of these people. Western Lensman again, because we have to figure out what's going on here. We are in serious danger if somehow, some way, apathy or anger or lack of accountability or whatever doesn't make people get involved now and make sure that the Democrat Socialists and their friends over at CARE and Muslim Brotherhood take over any more power in this country. They should be banned from running at all. They are globally funded revolutionary Marxists. But these are the people, these are the leaders of that party that forget about how you feel about Trump or what he's doing. Start thinking about the future of this country. So let's just show this clip of these people and their plans upcoming.
If the president is doing something good for the American people, good. He's the president. We shouldn't want a president to fail. But unfortunately, this president spends his time going after his perceived opponents, trying to get retribution for things in the past. That is the reason that I end up speaking out the way I do.
The people in this administration who've broken the law and federal agents who've broken the law need to be held accountable. Criminally prosecuted, civilly prosecuted, whatever it is that we can do.
For those that decided that it was, that they would act in their perceived very narrow self-interest and, take a knee to Trump, they're going to be held accountable.
You think needs to elevate the debate, but also ensure accountability, legal accountability for anyone who broke the law.
Yeah, it's not about vengeance in that respect. It's not that. It's simply about accountability.
There are so many different corrupt sycophants within the Trump administration, including but not limited to within the Department of Justice. Now, these people don't have immunity. And the reality is the statute of limitations is 5 years, and there will be accountability with the next administration, if not before, when Democrats take back control of the House of Representatives.
One day the Trump presidency will end. The statute of limitations for these crimes, however, will extend beyond that date. And when the day comes that Donald Trump leaves the White House and his successor moves in, there'll be accountability.
We will bring oversight, accountability. We will subpoena the Department of Justice, but also private actors who have done these drug deals with the administration, college campuses, entertainment companies, law firms. And so accountability is coming.
But unfortunately, this president spends his time going after his perceived opponents, trying.
Okay. We will spend the last 2 years of the Trump administration. So we got to organize what we are doing here. I'm just going to go 5 more minutes. If you don't.
Yeah, a quick shout out. Flying Storms gifted 10 subscriptions to the Mel K Show. And folks, yes, the book is really everywhere books are sold. I posted a link in Barnes & Noble because a few people are asking. People don't really like to use Amazon, I know, and then we understand that. It's just, the playing field is the playing field.
This book will be available also, an option from the website, but and the next book is a very different book. It's straight up history, very important. I think it's coming out at a great time, so I'm very excited. I'm just going to end on two different videos. Thank you, Ben, for hanging in, but this is important, people. The midterms cannot be about anything other than preserving this nation, because the hell that these people are planning to unleash on January 1st, 2027, because they plan, there's been no significant litigation to do anything about the election in the midterms. Just please listen to.
Can I say something about, I see sometimes people say, it's cheating, why vote? You can't vote your way out of this. All of that might be true or is true. Yeah. At the same time, when you're on a battlefield, you don't stop, your forward movement because, you don't like the lay of the land. We have to show up. We must. Okay. So,
and if you know an organization or organizing on the right, because we can't find it. I don't see any.
My point is, people need
separate, indivisible hubs in the United States in every county. They're all over. And all I see, we used to have Turning Point, but I don't like that they're all in for J.D. Vance without saying a word or any kind of debate, or any other people like Tulsi Gabbard or Rubio or Rand Paul or any of these people being considered. So they already have an agenda without, talking to anyone. They've decided that they're putting all their money and effort into making sure J.D. Vance is elected. I don't want to live in Palantir's future, so I need to look at that a little more closely and have some. But then we have, I don't know if Tucker's running for office or what is going on with that whole crew. I don't know what is going on with the attacks against the entire Reawaken crew and Flynn and all of that. I don't know what's going on with the fights. I am telling you, we are in serious danger. What do you want to say? Because I only have 5 minutes.
Yeah, let's go. Let's finish it up.
Okay, and today was about what are we facing in the midterms, and how do we, regardless of all the fracture, how do we, the Mel K Show audience and listeners and people of like minds, make sure and get involved now to make sure that in the midterms, these people don't take over. I'm telling you, the last 2 years of Trump's administration, if they do take the House and Senate, will be pure hell and nonstop, and they will arrest many, 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 many people, and it will happen quickly, not a year and a half into a term to take anyone accountable. But take a listen.
Democratic government versus radical Islam. Which is the worst of those two?
These socialists are a phenomenon of the last 4 years, when the things that count, housing, electricity bills, gas, cars, eggs, went up by 25 to 30%. Real wages went down. If the economy is growing, that socialist argument will have less resonance. Radical Islam thinks that we are decadent, leisured, and they want to create enclaves. At Stanford, I watched them tear down the Jewish hostage posters. Gulf money is much more emboldened in the United States. Al Jazeera is even more powerful. Here you have the Somali community. They have embezzled right under the nose of Tim Walz, and anybody who explains this in a rational fashion is an Islamophobe, racist. New York and London, run by overt Islamicists. In Europe, they're getting up to about 15 to 16%. What we're seeing in Britain, grooming and mass rape of women, teenagers, that scares me a lot more.
Socialist Democratic
And there you have
government.
that. And, which is better, which is worse? I think it's important to understand that we have multiple threats and that they are aligned. I am going to play this clip for you one more time, and then we will go. But please, please understand, the Democrat Socialists of America are not Democrats, but they have convinced most of this country that they are. They do not hide it, and I strongly suggest, if you do not understand that they have nothing to do with the Democratic Party, please watch this, and I will put put this over there on Substack. You can also find it at canarymission.org. But we have to understand we have multiple threats inside our country, and our government is hell-bent, as they have always been, on vengeance and putting people in jail and all of that. And the current administration doesn't seem to be taking seriously what they are planning for our country. This summer will be very violent, I believe. They will push Trump to look like he is an authoritarian. He will have to, likely. I see what's happening. They are escalating a color revolution playbook. Please watch this, and then we will let you go and see you tomorrow. Take a look, and I'll be right back.
It's no secret that the Democratic Socialists of America hate the Democratic Party.
I think we're all on the same page that we hate the Democratic Party. Democratic Party is not really our friend. It isn't.
So why are the DSA such major players in the Democratic Party? This odd relationship can be understood with the cuckoo analogy. In nature, the cuckoo survives by trickery. It lays its egg in another bird's nest. The unsuspecting parents raise the imposter as their own until the cuckoo grows strong enough to push the true chicks out. The DSA is the cuckoo inside the Democratic Party.
DSA is not the Democratic Party. We must separate ourselves from the toxic Democratic Party.
We can put forward a clear, aggressive, principled strategy that pushes back against the Democratic leadership and the Democratic Party as a whole.
DSA candidates run as Democrats in safe blue districts. They slip through low turnout primaries. And once inside, they use the Democratic label as camouflage while advancing an extremist anti-American agenda far beyond the party's mainstream.
I don't agree with the Democratic Party, but it's a great tool.
The Democratic is a tool that we use.
Once in office, DSA candidates take orders from DSA's internal enforcers and working groups. City halls and state houses start running as socialist machines controlled by the organization, not the Democratic Party, and certainly not voters.
They have to have a connection with DSA's internal politics, and they have to be committed to the eventual goal of building a separate entity from the Democrats.
DSA are revolutionaries, and the Democrats are their first victims. And in city after city, DSA victories prove their plan works.
I think that the model that we used in New York is 100% replicatable.
And just like the cuckoo, once the DSA grows strong, it pushes the true Democrats out, hollowing the party from within,
building towards political independence and tearing apart the Democratic Party.
The DSA is not here to strengthen the Democratic Party. It is here to consume it.
We're not here to make the Democrats a little bit better. We're here to actually enact socialism. And socialism is not just better capitalism. It's overthrowing the entire capitalist state.
It's our duty, DSA, to cultivate this power.
The cuckoo is in the nest, and New York City is poised to elect not a Democrat, but Zohran Mamdani, an extremist within the DSA.
We understand that winning an election is not an end. It is a means to an end.
The most important thing that we can do is take that empire down from within.
Ultimately to overthrow our own empire.
We need a movement that can drive a stake to the heart of empire.
We need to orient ourselves towards insurrection.
Okay, folks. So
it's no secret that
it's everyone's job to evaluate the next 8 months and what they are going to do about this. They will not. I don't think they have the guts to ban the Democrat Socialists of America or to check the money line. But it is a conglomerate of the Muslim Brotherhood and CARE and a global socialist Marxist revolutionary group that is being funded by multiple players. The money's not being stopped, and this is the road we are on. So it's going to be up to me and you, we the people of the United States, to realize that we are fighting a uniparty, a rogue intelligence operation and operatives, a Democratic Party that is completely captured by a global socialist revolutionary network aligned with the totalitarian Sharia law abiding Muslim Brotherhood and CARE. And I don't see coming out of the White House any kind of cohesive or unifying or any of that. I just don't. So I am asking you to join me in figuring out how to make sure that we not only show up, but we stand up and we do not allow ourselves to lose the House and Senate. In the meantime, the people that are in there, particularly John Thune, should be held accountable for not ending the filibuster months ago, for not doing recess appointments, and for making sure, I believe, that the status quo stays in in D.C. Long after Donald Trump's gone, that is what is going on. These guys are not Republicans. They're not Democrats. They are disgusting, corrupt mafia running Washington, D.C., and none of them want to see the money laundering train go away, not to mention all the think tanks, NGOs, and lobbying firms that are all undermining the will, the vote, and the voice of we the people. So we will see you tomorrow. Thank you so much for hanging in. I'm not, again, trying to scare you. I'm trying to tell you the truth, to empower you, to empower yourself, to make a difference where you are. It is going to be local action that will save us, and that means getting on the ground and organizing with good people who do not want to lose the constitutional republic that we were given long ago, and we have been, I believe, captured, and we still have a shot, but it's not long. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everybody. No, have a great day.
Thank you. Make sure you tune in to Mel K in the mornings at 12 Eastern every single day. We are doing a daily news show that'll keep you up to date with the things you're not getting anywhere else. The Mel K in the morning show is your place to get morning news daily.
Whispers of freedom loud in the night. Anonymous fighters ready to ignite. They hack the code, crack the chains. Endless courage runs through their veins. Dancing in the digital light they go. For justice and truth their actions flow.